Hello, we're talking about the opportunities that mobility offers the enterprise, and I'm joined today by Jim Barrett, who's the Head of End User Computing at Dimension Data. Good morning, Jim.
Morning, Mark.
We've seen the mobile workforce develop within organisations through smartphones, tablets, etc., and it's transformed the way people work. I mean, we've all taken part in it ourselves. Is there a clear picture of how companies are adopting it, tackling it? What are you seeing out there in the organisations?
That's a very good overview, Mark. I mean, I think from a Dimension Data's perspective, we've been tracking these trends for a number of years, and quite recently we entered into a piece of assessment analysis of some key decision makers in the UK marketplace with our friends at Overman and Citrix. We don't believe, though, that the trend has actually settled into strategies as yet. We see most organisations taking a staged approach, still beginning to look at things from a sort of transition perspective. How do they upgrade hardware, the recent operating systems, and how that extends into the data centre and the network. In fact, one of the most interesting things that came out of the study was nearly half of organisations are yet to actually deploy an effective strategy around mobile device management. And in terms of our experience, we see that as a high-risk approach, which potentially is prohibiting those businesses from taking advantage of the full breadth of opportunity that the mobile work styles can offer.
Jim, there's a great deal of strategic review going on in the CIO community at the moment. Is it important when considering end-user computing to not be seen as reactive, but to be seen as proactive, and how that strategic review can impact the bottom line of the organisation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's extremely important that organisations have a proactive stance first and foremost, to ensure that they are maintaining that competitive edge as they go through the decision-making criteria, which is going to be essential to the types of partners that they engage with, and secondly, how they're going to improve the user experience. Indeed, those organisations, those CIOs, that take a sort of proactive end-user computing strategy, which is holistic in its approach, which actually brings together all of the benefits of business productivity, mobility, and areas such as virtualizations. Well, those are the organisations that we see leading the pack.
Where do you see, and what hurdles have you experienced that CIOs and CEOs have come across?
Well, again, from the recent report, I think there are two key statistics that are coming to the surface. Number one, nearly 3/4 of organisations that we surveyed from a leadership perspective directly see the business benefit between customer service excellence and work style mobility. But at the same time, a very similar number, almost 70%, see business risk and compliancy as the number one prohibitor to moving forward. And to make that probably clearer to understand, I think organisations are wrestling with, number one, how do I optimise? Number two, how do I transform to be most competitive? And at the same time ensure that those decisions are done from a secure perspective. So we definitely see there being a need for organisations to look for best-in-breed consultancy, because next generation technology is moving at such a pace that not all of those skills actually rest internally within the business.
Building on that, in terms of what do CIOs and CEOs need to consider next to advance the strategic options available to them, and what advice would you give them?
Well, as I think I've touched on previously, we absolutely are evangelists of that consulting-led approach. We think that it's important that organisations start to embrace a strategy. And what I mean by that is that they start to build on the holistic opportunities that are now available to them by working with the right type of partner. I think what we're beginning to see is that a lot of organisations are embracing that device mobility approach, but at the same time the end user community, those business unit owners, are demanding a work style mobility approach. So it's really important that they engage with the workforce to understand what is strategically important from a competitive perspective, but ensure that their ecosystem of trusted advisors can provide the relevant results. And one interesting thing that we've seen from some of our key customers is that they have some challenges with some of their partners who embrace that sort of technology-led approach and potentially don't have that breadth of experience from best of breed, and at the same time supporting some of the global aspirations.
Jim, thank you for your thoughts and insights, some really interesting points raised there. This has been an IDG video in association with Dimension Data and Citrix on the topic of end-user computing. Thank you for watching.